My name's Stephen Hartley, and this is an introductory video for those who are interested in attaining oneness with God, or at least, if not going that far, at least improving your soul and your life as part of that. First of all, I'd like to thank God, as I feel I have his backing his and her backing on this. What I'm about to demonstrate, you must have the correct truths in your soul, and to get the truths in your soul you need to really understand those truths. So if I just tell you God is an actual being, an entity made up of, like our soul is, of half male and half female. So if I just tell you that, you can't just then say, okay, now I know the truth. You have to really think through what that means. So, a big part of that means that you are only half a soul, and that the other half of your soul is out there somewhere. Maybe you've met them, maybe you haven't, maybe you're with them, maybe you're not. And the next part of this is I'm using good quality natural cannabis, just the flower, none of the leaves. And you have to have had, at least a 9-day break without any cannabis. My dad had actually died from cancer, or from the treatments of cancer. And then at his funeral we gave him a good send-off. We had a very good party, lots of people came, it was a very happy occasion. And there was some cannabis there in that evening, and I partook. And I noticed how high I got both from having the new truths in me that were correct, and also from having a spell without cannabis. I've been able to get my dreams and understand a bit about what's going on. I actually believe at that point I was spiritually born again. I had a very, very high moment, and that's what it felt like. Then I went another couple of weeks without cannabis, and I thought, I actually want to try and do this again. I want to smoke some cannabis and get to this high point and see if I can actually tap into some of the emotions I'm finding it hard to feel. See, every addiction covers a fear that you have, and when I wrote down the fears next to these addictions, most of them were fear of being unloved. And that is probably something we all have, because we all have this this hole where God should be. So not quite sure what's going to happen. I just make a point of you don't really have to intellectually decide what issue you're going to deal with next. They kind of come naturally. God has made everything so that you just deal with what comes up. So I'm going to smoke a cannabis joint. I'm going to go up levels reasonably quickly. Okay, it's pretty cool. Right, what I did is felt God. I should have tried to video it. I've just had that message. It'll be okay. I diddled about a bit, and I came upstairs and I sat here and I started to feel God. And I wasn't using my mind. I was using my soul. The Spirit said to me, take this, take this. And that's before I remember to feel God. And it's through the feeling then that I really felt God. He told me that I felt that about the tool of cannabis is kind of being given to us as a result of other things that are there against us, and that it's a tool, but to use it wisely. And I was feeling the love, but knowing the humility that organ of the soul. You need to be humble. You need to get rid of any shame that you've had in your life. And when you're up on these levels, it's feeling so ashamed. But so the good thing is that, but you can just understand it as soon as you feel it. And I'm not going to try and talk any of that. I'm just going to get back into it in a minute. And it's good because you're getting rid of this forever. Unless you keep building more up. It's unpleasant, but it's tolerable. And there was fear at the start. But as I'm seeing it changing, I know then that it must be moving on. Subtle changes in the expression. This is my shame of things I've thought that are errors in my soul. Things put down to me from my father and, other family, my mother, everyone, society, whatever. Generations and generations been put onto us. I'm saying thank you, God. Now I'm beginning to feel euphoria. Face feels lighter in my eyes, under my eyes feels lighter. it's still filming. Yeah. Well, that was cool. That was definitely for an introductory video. First expressions of my face, you see, shows something, I think. And I doubt that's the end of it. And what triggered it then was having to face humility over wanting to be famous. I've often pondered about being famous and thought it'd be really cool. I feel like I'm a baby again, the age of a baby. This wonderful bliss and peace, which is pleasant. It's a beautiful feeling. And why wouldn't you want to feel like this all the time? Okay? This is in the higher spheres of love. Why wouldn't you want this all the time? Which is why you must progress. One of the ways to work forward is to trust that God will give you what you need. He will provide for you. He is your father and mother. I'm sure there's some emotion about feeling that. Because we lost it. Been going away from it our whole life. Right from the point you were conceived. Emotions, you could feel all the emotions around you. You feel everything. From your mother and your father, from your physical father and your physical mother. Wherever they were. All the time. The first time I felt empty was when my mother and father had come to Dallas and my grandparents were there. But I felt this emptiness. That was probably 3, 4. Because by that time I'd lost God. I don't want to look at the clouds because I know what's coming. Well, you never know what the wind's going to do. But don't try and predict what's coming. That will stop it. I started to be cruel to my brother by then, my younger brother. That probably totally shut out God. So then I was totally addicted to my parents. I know that these emotions I'm going through are improving my soul state. See, that's probably the arrogance where, like, the humility came in. All those faces I was pulling, and I mean, that's gonna look good on camera, I think. Which should make this popular video. Me wanting to be famous, or me thinking I'm some sort of awesome being, like, yeah, just me thinking I'm better than other people. That's all it is. Anyone thinking they're better than anybody else. We're all children of God, we're all equal. We're equal at the point of conception. After that, anything is either your own fault, through your law of attraction, by doing bad things, you bring bad things upon you. So I was, in a sense, partly causing my dad to be aggressive towards me. Absolutely. That's why it was a shameful emotion. Also, there was a part of it that I then copied him in his actions, and did that to my little brother. So it's partly, partly one of the other. But that's come down from generation to generation as well. So it's original sin. Essentially. It's difficult to connect with when you say it's original sin. What's that? Well, it started with the first two human beings thinking they were gods. And I suppose being famous sort of makes you into a bit of a god. Everybody thinks you're wonderful. And you're not. All of human beings have souls. Every single one. And animals apparently don't. They are creatures of God, but they don't have a soul. They have a spirit body, which continues to exist as they are sleeping, and a physical body. They are God's creatures. That is a truth I'm beginning to accept, is that the animals are not on the same level as the humans. And that's that. But I guess they all have their different parts to play. And if you like, they may be the witnesses of God. Or just, anyway. Probably going to run out of battery at some point, and that'll be, well, God knows when it's going to end the battery anyway. So as I'm going back in, I'm just trying to stop the thoughts and start the feeling. Which is going to sound weird if you've never done this. But you have done it, just when you were very young. So if this video is being listened to by any children under the age of 14, you don't need any cannabis to do this. So you're lucky. Older people, it's just going to take longer. You got the patience. And then it's never too late to start. But I know about the cannabis thing. Just very, very little at first to try. eat it. Eat a bit. Yeah, have a cookie. Have a cookie. And sit there and just feel. Feel. And the fear block, you're going to have to face it. And you know what? As soon as you face it, you're most of the way through. It's like any of those with the unpleasant emotions. As soon as you agree to face them, God just gives you love. You just feel love. I hope the battery hasn't run out, because that was a good one. I'm not going to check though, because God's taking care of it. I'm going to go on. I'm going to go on. Yeah. That was a dream I woke up to this morning. This really funny dream, and this guy was singing about, and there's this girl, and she was like, "Oh, it's time to party." And he just sits down on the phone to her, "Love, love, love." He's like this really cool patient, this really cool person to everyone. It was just so funny. Maybe that's the real Jesus. I don't know. But God. Jesus is the same as us. He's the same level as us, and there's lots of spirits in wonderful places. They're so funny and loving and so this is definitely something to try and attain, people. And as long as you progress, the pain gets less, and it all gets better and better.